Ready.
Yeah.
Come to order the Lowell City Council for regular session Tuesday, April 19th at 7:03. Roll call, please.
Mayor Bennett.
Here.
Councilor Harris.
Here.
Councilor Stratus.
Present.
Councilor Weathers.
Here.
Councilor Murray.
Here.
All present. Stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I don't have any changes to the agenda. Does anybody have anything? Next up is the consent agenda. On that, we have the check register for March 2022, financial report for February 2022, approval of the minutes for March 1st, 2022, regular meeting, and approval of the minutes for the March 15th, 2022 regular meeting. Anybody want to take anything out for further discussion? Not here. We have a motion to accept.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Okay,
Second.
we have a motion by Tim, second by Maureen to accept the consent agenda. All those in favor of the consent agenda as it is, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Good. Public comments? We're missing public. Somebody needs to,
Go for it, man.
somebody needs to check in on it. Council comments, anybody have anything? Okay. Okay, then we're all the way down to page 73 in our packet with Mr. Caldwell, the administrator's report. Speed reading, huh?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening to everybody. I'll give a brief report of my activities since the March 15th regular meeting. On the library renovation project, I received some good news. Penny Hummel submitted a grant application to the State Library of Oregon for new IT equipment. And there's a list of that equipment at the end of the report. I received notification that this was approved. It will require an agreement, which I'll have on your next meeting agenda, so that we can spend every penny of Penny's money by the end of August. I've asked LCOG, the Lane Council of Governments, to complete a draft agreement for them to do the IT and phone system stuff. Once we move into the building, that includes the new phone system, that includes setting up the computers, server, migrating our financial system. On the parks renovation projects, I submitted a rehabilitation grant for the local government grant program. This is following up on the conversation that we've been having since around January or so on the Rolling Rock Park grant. I've got that application in. I'll know sometime in the summer if we receive that. If we do get that, those grant monies, that will enable us to meet the dollar for dollar match of the Land and Water Conservation Fund grant, in which case we will have secured about $750,000 in grant funding to have a 100% grant funded project. On the East Main Street property, we are under contract with Lowell Investment Properties. BB&A has completed the removal of the gas tanks. There's a picture in your packet in case you wanted to see what they found out there. We'll need to obtain a no further action letter from DEQ as part of the conditions of sale. And then the last step will be to acquire the right of ways so we can have one big package to sell. Also prepared, following up on your request for information, a list of the expenses so far, which shows a net loss of about $50,000. On other items, I completed a webinar with the League of Oregon Cities last week on the reporting requirements for our ARPA funding. That includes an election that you have to make on the revenue replacement component of that. Treasury changed the rules where you can say that up to $10 million of your funds are revenue replacement. I intend to make that election because that gives us flexibility on how to use those funds. And it also streamlines the reporting requirements that we want to have. And once you make that election, that's it. You can't change it. And that report is due April 30th. The only ARPA monies we've spent so far was about 30-something thousand in the fall for water meters.
How much in total did we get again?
We received about 260,000. A couple other things that weren't in the report. I've received a lot of inquiries about 8 North Island. Still haven't received an offer yet. And the law enforcement survey with the mailer that I sent out, that has helped, and I've actually received quite a bit more responses. I hope to present that to you in May.
Is there a cutoff date on that? I got the red letter, but I haven't read it.
Cutoff date is April 29th, next Friday. What questions do you have for me?
Every penny, huh?
Every penny, a penny's money.
How big was that tank they took out? I'm trying to see exactly what.
They said it was bigger than what it looks like. Do you recall, Max, how
Yeah, he
big?
was guessing 90 to 110 gallons piece on
A piece?
it. A piece, yeah, there was 2 total, 2
Okay.
identical tanks. Yep.
Okay. Crazy.
Not really that big.
No, but I was thinking about it, gas was like 3 cents a gallon, and biggest gas tank was 15 gallons, so you figure if they, about 15 rigs, they could have filled up. But I was a little shocked, well, we'll talk about it. Yeah, I was a little shocked,
And how big they were?
just that they were actually there.
Yeah. Well, really?
Yeah, because Rod Silver, day one when I started here, he met me up at City Hall and said, there's still tanks over there, DEQ wants to move. And I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever, Rod. And Bjornstead buys it, he does a survey, and then the chain of events, and then Jeremy hires the GPR. I'm like, "I'll be damned."
You didn't think they were? Oh,
Well, I mean, I figured they're there, I just thought they'd be taken care of.
I didn't think
There was an
they-
order from DEQ.
The
Usually
only
they don't
thing
just let
I
those
thought
things go.
was, were they ever removed? I knew they had tanks.
Right. But I
That was
thought they
the
were
question,
concrete
was
filled.
whether they'd ever got
We
removed.
went back and forth, me and Jeremy, before City Hall, hard looking.
Ooh, who won?
Well,
Obviously, he did.
Obviously. He said, let the facts speak for themselves, so.
Jeremy,
Yeah.
do we know how long it will take to get that letter from DEQ? Is there any deadline for that?
I asked the contractor that, and they said that their part should take a month at most. They've got to do lab tests and stuff like that. I asked them about DEQ and they really didn't know. They said there's a backlog that they're dealing with. COVID jammed things up, but they said this is a small project. And in their view, it should be handled relatively quicker than some of the other things they're dealing with.
But it won't hold, will it hold this up?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have to have that letter before we can.
Yes. So we reported an underground spill, had to report that to DEQ. And once the lab tests are done and the report is done, they'll send that to DEQ. DEQ will review it, sign off on it. They'll send us a letter saying no further action is required. That's what the buyer wants to see.
After probably, I'm thinking a couple months, hopefully on the positive side, since it's a small project, after a month, can we get who's it, BB&E or whoever it was, to give them a call and see if there's a timeline?
Sure.
Because we'll be looking at that other loan,
Yeah, that's the
that
problem.
we'll have to, we'll want to get that done as quickly as possible, and if we don't want to get jammed up.
I agree, and I'm gonna stay on them.
Yes, yeah, just give it to them, stay on it. Let them do the call, and they know the people, so they know who they gave it to and who to call. But yeah, I appreciate that. Okay. Anything else for city administrator?
We are still going to be pursuing avenues to get some of our money back regarding the immediate mitigation for the tank.
Yes.
It's
Yes,
pretty important.
yes.
It's important to all of us.
Good.
Okay. Anything else?
I'm agreeing. So,
If not, Public Works, Mr. Baker?
Your business council, good evening. Public Works staff reports this last week. I do apologize. I have a typo in here for the portable restrooms. I got quotes, but did not bring them. I can tell you, I don't have anything official except for from one, but they range from $100 to $500 a month, depending on the level of quality and service we want for cleanings. So I will, well within our spending authority, but I will still make sure everybody gets a copy of that. Obviously, check with the budget to make sure it's something we can afford, and then we'll just go ahead and move forward with that. We do have a parks meeting coming up, so I can take it to parks too. But, so yeah, as far as park restrooms, they still remain closed. Obviously, we have not had any complaints or issues with that. Paul Fisher, of course, the park is mostly used. There is a restroom available at City Hall. So streets and parks, staff repaired the gate, the cover bridge. The bridge we opened and then reopened to the public. It's been open pretty much since the last meeting. We still have not heard back from Lane County. I do have the expired IGA, but not the most recent bridge inspection that was done by ODOT. So that was part of the package deal they're waiting on. And yes, they are way behind like everybody. So I'm sure it will take a little bit of time. No big rush. This was only expired in 2015. Pretty common. So I'll be bringing that back to you guys when we get everything. I think it's a good time for us to look at it. And a lot of people don't know, but there is a monetary value assigned to that IGA, both from the city side and the county side. So I think it's an appropriate time to reevaluate that and kind of see our options and make sure that, you know, we got definitely some deferred maintenance going to be coming up on that pretty quick. So it's going to cost some money. Large plant distribution, after completing leak detection for most of the city, we still have First Street, Sunbridge, and Wetlow, which are some of the newest subdivisions. Staff did identify several leaks, 6 to be exact. 2 of these leaks were repaired last week. Literally last week. The leak on D Street was significant, by far the worst leak we've ever repaired, 50 to 80 gallons a minute. The reason we knew there was a leak is we were running the plant at an extended time. So I spoke with Jeremy 2 weeks ago. We ran it 3 times overnight in the middle of the winter, which is very uncommon. This was all done in-house, actually. One of the staff members is a phenomenal person when it comes to leak locating. As loud as it was, I listened to the leak, he pinpointed it. They put the back truck down and hit it right on top. It was amazing. I took a video if anybody wants to see it after the council meeting. Yeah, it was a massive leak. When we only make 145 gallons a minute, that's a pretty good leak. So we got that repaired. It happened to be an abandoned service line, which is best case scenario for everybody. So we just turned it off and capped it. The other leak was about 1.5 to 3 gallons a minute. And that was right by the water plant. So, as I just said, the repair of the leaks reduced the daily runtime of the plant by average 5 hours a day. It doesn't seem like a big number, but that's 5 hours of electricity, 5 hours of chemicals, additional time by staff, you know, to prepare for the next thing. So it's a pretty good thing. In the past, this is not something that we would have been able to do in-house, and I'm not referring to the leak repair, but the leak detection. This specific staff member just kind of took it upon themselves to learn it, and they've really done an excellent job at this. They found the tiniest leak that was impressive with the old outdated equipment that we have. We do have some equipment that is very old, but that line of equipment is very expensive. We've had it in CIP for about 3 years. But it is the quickest CIP item to get booted. I mean, it's very expensive. So it's good to know that we could still do it, you know, with some old technology. And so yeah, that's something to be proud of. And we're right in the middle of our water management conservation plan. And one of the things is identifying leaks and what you do when you identify a leak. So it'd be some good things to be able to report to the state. We have a feeling it's been leaking for an extended amount of time, maybe not that 50 to 80 gallons a minute, but definitely for a while. But the break on the line was kind of healed a little bit, so possibly been leaking for a little bit of time. Wastewater treatment plant, the Civil West sent the results of the overnight flow mapping for I&I. This is the test we did late last month in the hours of 10 a.m. and 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. to see what kind of ground penetration was getting into the sewer system when there was no users currently using it. We did the entire system. So they sent back out a detailed map and a plan showing where we identified potential hazards. No big shocks there. The worst areas have been identified several times in years past. But also they sent over this time some recommendations for camera and cleaning to be able to see exactly what's going on. And they did include a quote. They're actually working with another municipality right now, and they received 3 quotes to perform some of this work. So they went ahead and just had them quote us just in case. I will tell you guys, it's kind of a tiered quote. There's a closed circuit TV only. There's a cleaning and TVing, and then there's a cleaning and TVing of the entire system that needs to be. It ranges from 5,000 to 20,000. I think it's definitely important that we do this to follow up with the I&I, but I think it's something that we can include in the plan. Maybe do some of the, the immediately important stuff, and then include the rest of it in the capital improvement project. So we'll be bringing that back to you guys once we get a little bit more direction from Civil West. Today, the city had their meeting with DEQ regarding the violations from last year. This is referring to the lift station overflow in November and the BOD exceedances in May and June. I don't really have any information to provide you guys an update on. I was hoping to have something at this meeting, but the previous meeting we had scheduled the day after the last city council meeting got canceled and rescheduled till today. So when we have an update, either myself or the city administrator will include it in our staff reports and give you guys an update.
And that's on the appeal to get the.
It's on just the non-formal appeal. Yeah. So I figure we'll hear something pretty quick. They did offer, DEQ did offer to be a part of a city council meeting and explain it if we have additional questions and stuff. So, but I think it was an overall very good meeting, very educational. And I left the meeting feeling a lot better than I did going into it. So that was a huge plus. So. Questions?
I got one.
Yes, sir.
Where does 50 to 80 gallons a minute go if it's not coming to the surface?
It's a good question, Don. So as you guys all know, Lowell is on a bed of clay.
Right.
It's pretty common. So we got a rough hard pan bedrock. We have a layer of clay, and then in some spots we have topsoil, not all spots. The water consistently moves year round, including the summertime, between the clay layer and the bedrock. And that's where it goes. Water takes the path of least resistance, and all but one water leak that we've had since I've worked here in the 8 years have stayed under the ground. They've never daylighted, and they follow the main. And the reason they follow the main is the water main is backfilled in gravel, which is a natural French drain. And I mean, it just takes the path least, and usually it pops up in a storm drain, which is underground or under a road or a culvert or something like that. Yeah. So 50 to 80 gallons per minute is a lot. It's a pretty significant amount. I took Jeremy up there, and without physically showing him the leak, I had him put his ear very close to the fire hydrant, and just the sound alone, you could hear how loud of a leak it was. We heard that leak all the way from Tony Burnett's house to 2 houses past yours, just with their ear. So it was pretty impressive, and it's exactly what it was doing. The leak was actually spraying up like this, but the rocks were keeping it in. It's about 3 feet deep, and it just shot right down the main all the way towards south towards the fire department. And at the very end of Fort is one of the largest storm drain systems we have in the system. So it was working its way in there and just going straight out Fort and meandering all the way, and eventually it would make it to the lake. So yeah, pretty
Still
great.
kind of amazing it didn't cause some kind of.
Nothing. So the funny thing is, we noticed when this happened, it was 2 Fridays ago, we literally seen the demand on the plant go higher. And so we knew something, not catastrophic, but something worse had happened. Everybody has leaks. We had pinhole leaks throughout the system. So I was actually at a meeting with Jeremy, and Hunter started going out and listening for just tracking it down, literally person by person. And we got to D Street. And so he calls me, and after the meeting, I run up there and I'm looking, and he says, I think it's right here. And the water main on D Street is right outside the pavement. There's no sidewalks. So you got the pavement from D Street, then 2-3 foot of gravel, which is standard, and then a swale ditch for a storm. And it was right there, just 4 or 5 inches outside the concrete. Well, the AC, the part of the road was damaged right there. And if you look in the ditch in front of Tony Burnett's, you can see where somebody went off the road. And the ditch is super soppy, so they sunk like this far. So I'm wondering if Thursday or Friday night when that happened, when we noticed it, if somebody went off, hit just right enough to compact the gravel to bend the corp off to let it leak, and then they got stuck in the ditch. And so it's just, and we're strictly speculating because nobody said anything or heard any crashes or anything like that. But yeah, it's, I didn't go any further. And that's, I actually reached out to Jeremy and told him we were gonna probably have to use emergency procurement. Originally, we thought it was much worse than, I mean, this is still a bad leak, but we didn't think we'd be able to fix it as quick as we did in-house. So we hired a contractor with a back truck. They backed it out, and I mean, immediately, within 30 minutes, we had it stopped. Originally, the plan was to cut out the main, put a new piece in, because we didn't know how bad it was. And we would have very quickly got over my spending authority, you know, which would have fallen under the emergency procurement. And I didn't think it was gonna make it until Monday. So, and I still don't think it would have. I think it would have turned into something catastrophic. It would have originally eroded the bank away, you know, that supports the road. So either the road would have fell down or it would have been just blowing in Tony's shop, and then you would have been calling me. So, but yeah, no, all in all, it went very well. But it's impressive. I'll show you guys a video after council. It's pretty impressive.
That's
Yep.
good to hear. Thank you.
Anything else?
Anything else for Max?
Okay, thank you.
Next up on page 81, motion to approve resolution 779. Authorizing a loan for special public works fund. Mr. Connolly, you want to speak to this? All right, we didn't do a police report. Everybody can sneak a peek at the police report. They're still giving us a few extra hours coverage, more than's in the contract, so that's good. And actually making some people contacts, doing some of your code enforcement. That's good to see too. Any questions on that for Mr. Connor? Okay, now we'll go on to 779.
All right, thank you, Mayor. In November, the council approved an application through Business Oregon for a loan to finance part of this City Hall and the library project. In January, they informed us that our application was approved. And in March, they sent me the contract and the resolution that we need to approve in order to complete the loan. And that's what's on your agenda here tonight. This is for $230,224. It's a 25-year loan at 2.17% interest. The total annual payment is $12,028. The first payment would be due a year after the end of the project completion date. Business Oregon is a state agency, and the Oregon Infrastructure Finance Authority is a wing of Business Oregon that finances their public works and economic development projects. That's who's financing this project. And in our application, we stated that we would be paying off this loan through the sale of surplus city properties.
Any questions, Roy?
So in the meantime, it'll be budgeted out of the general fund, the annual payment.
That's correct.
Anything else?
Need a motion?
We have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 779, a resolution of the Lowell City Council authorizing a loan from the Special Public Works Fund by entering into a financing contract with the Oregon Infrastructure Finance Authority.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Gail, second by Jimmy,
Or Timmy.
for resolution 779. Or is it Tim? Or you? Okay. Sound like it came out of this year. Second by Tim.
Let me go by Timmy now. It sounds better, Jimmy.
Okay, any other questions on this here? We've been down this road so far, we
We
finally
voted on it 18
finally
times. I
get
think.
to the end, same like.
If we do have sale of properties in a staggered manner, we can pay out chunks of this and that should reduce the annual. Or
No
the annual will
prepayment
stay the
penalty.
same until it's paid
The
off.
the annual payment will stay the same, kind of like with a car loan.
Pays it off the back end.
All those in favor of resolution 779, the resolution authorizing a loan from Public Works Fund by entering into a special Public Works Fund by entering into a financing contract with the Oregon Infrastructure Finance Authority. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Good. Next up is on 100. Motion for approve an agreement with Bridgeway Contracting. It's another thing we've been on forever and a day too.
I'm asking for council approval of an agreement with Bridgeway Contracting and authorize the city administrator to sign. In February, we issued an advertisement for bid for the library and City Hall project. Bids were due on March the 31st. After evaluating the bids, our architect, Wilson Architecture, determined that Bridgeway Contracting was the lowest responsible bidder. The architect also recommended that we proceed with alternates 1 through 4, which would bring the total contract to $450,663. The agreement that's in the packet was what was included in the project manual. The attorney did recommend one change, which is factored in here. The agreement also references several other documents that are incorporated by reference, such as the bonds, insurances, and other paperwork. That the forms associated with that and the requirements for that were all in the project manual. So there's no leeway for changes there. And the contract, the architect will compile all of that. He'll evaluate it, make sure it's right, and then he'll put everything in one big document that he called a conformed set, which is the reference for this deal. So what I'm asking for is your approval of the agreement, which includes the contractor and the amount, and authorizing me to do the rest.
Any questions, Mr. Cottle? Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve an agreement with Bridgeway Contracting in the amount of $450,650 for the Maggie Osgood Library and City Hall renovation project to authorize the city administrator to sign.
Good. We have a second.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Jimmy, second by Maureen, to approve the agreement with Bridgeway Contracting. Do we have further discussion or questions for Mr. Cottle? Not seeing anything, not hearing. All those in favor of motion to approve an agreement with Bridgeway Contracting an amount of $450,653 for the Maggie Osgood Library and City Hall renovation project, and to authorize the city administrator to sign. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Unbelievable.
Right.
Good building.
It's actually gonna happen.
Seemed like only yesterday we were starting this. A lot of yesterdays. Okay, we're gonna move on to 143. Motion to approve resolution 780. Make an appointment to the code committee. Appointments. Mr. Cottle.
I'm asking for council approval of appointing a slate of citizens and stakeholders to the code committee. I advertised for this opportunity in the bridge, and I received 5 applications. Those applicants are reflected here. And they match up for the most part to what is what the IGA for this project wants to see. I still need a youth representative,
Yeah, sorry.
and I still need a fire department representative. But in the meantime, these folks can get started if they're appointed, and it's anticipated that they'll meet maybe 2 times to take a fine tooth comb through the updates that our planners are recommending to implement the downtown master plan.
We approve these applicants in mass.
I was just gonna say that.
That's what the resolution does.
They look like good.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 780, a resolution making appointments to the city, to the code committee.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Tim, second by Gail for resolution 780. We have other questions or comments on this? I think fire department might check with Lon and see if he's got anybody that lives in the city limits that he could spare for a night or 2.
I think he has somebody. I just haven't received the application.
Okay, good.
I think
Okay.
he's got somebody.
We'll go get a kid off the street. Call it complete.
I'll call them.
There's got to be some of them out there that want to do this.
I had one and then fell through.
Yeah. Somebody in student government or something that has an interest. Let's hope. Let's hope. Otherwise, all those in favor of motion approve resolution 780, a resolution making appointments to the code committee. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Good to hear. Moving up to 156. Motion to approve additional professional surveying services.
Right, I'm asking for council approval of an additional services from SNF Land Services for $4,902. And let me pull something up on the screen.
Oh, good, I was hoping you'd think so.
All right, here's the what we're talking about. Whenever the council approved the boundary and partition surveys in October, we had this property included, and it has a partition line right about here. Okay. So they've come out, they've done the field work, they've done the surveys. And the engineer, he's working on pushing this through so that we can get these lots recorded. In my conversations with the engineer, we determined that it would be easier and a better fit for this property instead of doing a partition plat to do a property line adjustment. Because we already have several property lines here. So all we need to do is move this property line right there. And the benefit of that is with a partition plat, it's a timely process. We got to get planning commission approval. There's got to be a staff report drawn up, planning commission approval. They got to go to the county surveyor's office, record a partition plat. With this process here, all they have to do is draw up a legal description. I can technically sign off on it. I'll probably have the planning commission do that, but there's no other extra requirements. At the same time, I'll also get them to do a new legal description for this campus so that we can remove these lines and consolidate this into one whole property. And that will create a new deed for both of these. That scope of work wasn't included in what was originally proposed. There's going to be more work that they have to do with drawing up those legal descriptions. Since it's an increase to the contract cost, I need council approval before proceeding.
So basically, we're taking that diagonal line and just moving it
Right.
down to the border, and that automatically creates that partition for the
Correct.
lot to the right.
Correct.
I needed a petition to be able to sell that right-hand corner.
Yes.
I was gonna just point out that is one of the pieces they were counting on selling.
The piece that we're incorporating into, or the piece to the right.
The piece to the right.
Yeah.
That was, we decided we didn't need that and we could sell that to.
What's the zone?
library.
I think it's public. Well, do you know what this is property is owned next?
I do not.
I could look
That's
at,
right, that's right.
Okay.
I mean, is it large
it's
enough?
public land. This is owned public land.
Probably. Is it 7,000 square feet or?
Oh, it's much bigger.
Huh?
Much bigger.
Okay. But big enough to have a house on it, so it would be a problem or anything like
Oh, yeah, it's plenty big.
It's like a quarter, isn't it, Jeremy? I think it's closer to a quarter acre.
Yeah.
that. Okay.
Well, after the assessment on the other, on the island
Property
property,
right next door is listed at $500,000.
well, yeah,
This
this
one.
house,
It still helps out.
but the
property
Highland
values.
property is
150.
came back at 115, so a quarter of an acre. ought to be- And it, I don't think it'll have any issues, do you think, Jeremy?
It shouldn't have any issues.
I mean.
There was
Okay.
no gas tanks there everywhere.
Maureen, I stand
No.
corrected. This is zone C1. This is
Commercial
zone
improvement.
commercial.
Oh.
So we'll have to do a zoning change, a zoning map amendment.
Unless we can sell it to somebody
For the city
commercial.
property.
No,
Is that-
The
Well-
thing we're gonna lop off and sell.
for the one we're going to sell,
No, I honestly don't know the answer.
Why change it? At this point?
for this one,
Can it still be commercial?
it could still be commercial. Yeah.
It's more valuable.
I was just gonna say, probably be more valuable.
Right. on the-
I would say wait until. we
That's what I'm
need to.
saying, don't do it now.
Just
Yeah.
wait.
Yeah. It's costs we don't need to incur
Yeah.
and you don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean.
It's gotta be rezoned anyway.
If
so
205, if
it's like a
205 is
market.
developed and people start seeing stuff going on with other areas downtown, we may encounter some interest from somebody in terms of engaging it for commercial property.
Okay.
And it is kind of right there, so.
It may attract more offers for you. If it's commercial.
Gives us a better portfolio to offer to different buyers too.
Okay. You know, if we get a good offer for someone who wants to put a house there, we could always go through the process. They would just have a contingency on our agreement that the zoning would have to go through.
Yeah, so but let's wait and see what we
That
get.
should take more than a month.
Stick ourselves one way or the other.
So. do
I'll
we
make
have
a motion to approve an additional professional surveying services proposal with S&F Land Services in the amount of $4,902 and to authorize the city administrator to sign.
Second,
Motion by Tim, second by Gail to approve the additional professional surveying services. We have further questions, comments? Okay. Not seeing any. Okay, all those in favor of the motion to approve an additional professional surveying services proposal with S&F Land Services in the amount of $4,902 and to authorize the city administrator to sign. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Down to 159.
All right, the council has historically reviewed these renewal notification process letters from the Oregon Liquor and Cannabis Commission. This is a liquor license renewal for Armando's Restaurant. To the knowledge of staff, there's no basis on which to file an unfavorable recommendation, and staff's recommendation to council is to take no further action on this.
Questions?
do it.
So we don't, we make a motion, do nothing? Or just,
No, we just don't do anything.
or just do nothing,
Do nothing.
okay,
Let's not make a motion.
yeah.
Come on, Maureen.
Actually, I'd like to see that.
I wouldn't.
How that
On
was,
somebody else's.
I'd like to see how Sam writes that up in the minutes.
Did you hear that, Sam?
She's listening.
Yeah, she'll love it.
How come it's not OLCCC? Because
It's
it was always
all the letter,
OLCC.
all the
It was-
letterheads.
Yeah, it was always OLCC forever.
In cannabis?
Yeah, and so you add another C to it. And Maureen's
It
probably
was
right,
con-
they got
No,
tangled
it was
with letters.
Control Commission, so the OLCC is Oregon Liquor Control Commission. That's
Yeah,
what-
OLCC, now it's Oregon Liquor Cannabis Control Commission.
They took the control out of there. And if you have this
Oh,
printed right.
oh, I don't know,
Oh, no, on this one, it says cannabis control.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
That's looking at the agenda.
they need another C. I make a motion to add.
See, we always do this when we're starting to get done early.
We don't want him to get spoiled.
Starts going-
I was
3 meetings in a row.
I was just gonna
These are lucky charms.
I was
3
gonna
meetings
say,
in a row.
Jimmy, you're either bringing something
Okay.
or
So-
don't
Save
get
us,
used to
Don.
it. Because
So we
we're
got a
never gonna
consensus to
bring
do nothing,
minutes.
so I can do nothing.
We don't know that Don doesn't have comments yet, though. Oh, Don knows I'm teasing him.
Okay, that takes care of the new business. Any other business by anybody? The one short one. There's an open invitation to council members. We can get together to visit, tour the new rowing club warehouse boat
Oh.
storage facility if you're interested. So if we are, get back through Mr. Cottle and I can get it set up so we can go down there and walk through it and stuff like that.
I just went when they were there. I didn't know we were supposed to be invited.
They really knocked those trees down, got that thing up fast. I was
Yeah.
impressed with how
That was-
fast they did
And
it.
one person worked
I
on
was
it.
jealous.
Yeah, of how fast it went.
It was started when plywood cost this,
Yeah.
and it was finished when the purchase when plywood cost that. So it was a lot of money.
It is U of O though, right? So.
yeah.
I don't
It's,
know, tell us, Jimmy.
I was in there when it was still concrete and gravel, so it's good size. Anyway, if somebody's interested, let him know and he can tell me and I get it set up. Anything else by anybody? Still no public, so nothing else. We're adjourned at
Let's not sit
7:46.
here till we go.